Hey everybody, it's Amanda here from Jupiter's Labyrinth, and I'm just hanging out on this beautiful, crisp September afternoon. And I'm just thinking about all the shifts and changes we're already feeling as we're shifting from summertime into fall. I know no one wants to talk about it, and it's a bittersweet thing, um, but it's a reality. So I wanted to offer you some tips as we transition. The transition in between seasons is the most challenging time for our bodies, especially our immune systems and even our mindset, because we're going from a fast paced, fun filled summer into maybe back to school mode with family or maybe yourself, and just kind of shifting gears in a lot of different ways, even within your workplace and your family life, perhaps. So, this can really put our immune systems into stress mode, and often this is when we're finding you're getting a summer cold because we're really not officially into fall yet, but people are starting to get the sniffles and the coughs. I know my niece and nephew have already caught a cold, and I've seen several people on social media already saying they're kind of feeling like they're catching something. So, you really want to get ahead of this. And I know, again, we just barely say goodbye to August, but this is the time to get ahead of the cold and flu season as we shift gears. So I want to offer you just a couple things, some tips coming from Ayurveda. You know, if you follow me, I'm an Ayurveda nerd. I love it. It makes a lot of sense to me. And in Ayurveda, we're shifting into Vata season. And Vata is the energy, it's the dosha that is ruled by air and ether. So when you think about air and ether or space, it's very light, it's airy, it's cool, it's changeable, it's erratic. And so those are the energies that are going to be whirling around us as we shift into the fall. We can see it with the changing of the leaves, the dropping of the leaves, the drying out of the air, the drying out of the plants, the dying back of the plants around us and nature around us. Everything's kind of drawing inward, drying up, and changing a lot. So that's going to be happening within our minds, bodies, and spirits as well. So, what do we want to do? We want to foster and support that shift and change as gently as possible. So, if there's a lot of that cold, dry, changeable energy around us, we want to kind of do the opposite of those things to bring a balance to it. It's all about finding balance, and of course, balance is never really achieved. It's always about kind of tipping the scales back and forth as best we can. So, for our physical bodies, we want to slow down. I know no one wants to hear this in our fast-paced lives, but this is what we need to do, especially as we move deeper into the fall. It's about turning down, the pace of our lives and slowly starting to turn inward. It really helps to calm the erratic stressfulness of our daily lives and shifting gears again from the warm, heated season of Pitta, where it's go, 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 to the change of the fall, where things are just starting to slow down a little bit more. So trying to find a little bit slower pace if you can. Also, cooking your foods and eating gently spiced and warming spices into your food. So this is not a time any longer for salads and smoothies. And I know I always kind of get into debates with people who love salads and smoothies all day long. Raw foods, particularly salads and smoothies, are very hard for our bodies to digest, especially during the cooler seasons. So basically, we're getting colder. We want to offer warmth. We don't want to offer more cold, right? Uncooked foods are just harder for our body to digest in general. But when we're in the summertime, in the spring where things are warmer, we have that extra energy of the heat of the sun, the heat of the season, also kind of encourages the heat within our digestive tracts. And on the flip side, as we're shifting into the fall, things are cooling down. Our own inner digestive fire, or Agni, is kind of shifting gears down. So we don't have as much of that energy to break down and assimilate our foods as much. When you are eating a lot of raw foods, or cold foods, you might experience gas and indigestion and bloating, maybe even constipation. So if these are your tendencies, cooked, warmed food, oiled food too, and I always forget to kind of bring this in, is hydration is really important as well. So hydration, oiling foods, we want to think of hydration on healthy fats as well as water. So adding olive oil to your soups. If you have to have salads or smoothies, adding oil to them, add coconut oil. That helps to break down the foods a bit more. It's still cold, but it's kind of that happy medium if you must. What else? Some other things that aren't necessarily related to Vata season, but just general health, just to kind of keep yourself bolstered with that lowered immunity during this time of year as we shift gears. This is for anybody, any situation. Whenever you're feeling like you're kind of on the edge of catching something, or the immune system's kind of piping up and you're like, oh man, everyone around me is getting sick, you want to focus on just these three things. These three things alone are awesome baby steps to get your immune system a little bit more strengthened and bolstered. The first one I already mentioned, but I'll mention again, is drinking water. Water is so important, and especially this time of year, you want to drink it warm if you can, first thing in the morning. Add a little ginger, add a little lime juice, or fresh squeezed lemon. These will warm and energize the body, get that digestive function going that we were talking about, and just help to, feed and fuel the entire body, but especially increase elimination through digestion and help to flush any built up toxins within the lymph system, again within the digestive tract, to move it out. Because when we're sluggish in our bodies, our immune system gets blasted with overtime work, and then it slows it down, and you're more susceptible to catching those viruses and flus. All right, sleep. I know this is a hard one, and I know many people struggle with sleep, but the most important thing we can do is to offer ourselves adequate amount of sleep. And that means sometimes you have to go to bed early, and that can stink, especially if you haven't had enough winding down time from your day. But on average, 8 hours minimum is what we need to fully regenerate at night. And this really is a time where our body resets and detoxes from the day. And if we're not getting an adequate shut-eye, we're just going to wake up feeling exhausted. The best time to get to bed is before 10:30. And again, I know this is hard for a lot of our schedules, but after 10:30, we get that second wind, and we want to jump back into our emails or social media or watch that last episode of Netflix, and then we have a harder time getting a decent night's rest because our mind is more awake and our body is more awake. So before 10:30 p.m. is the best. This third and final sort of tip for keeping our immune system strong as we shift gears into the cold season and into the fall is stress support. And I know this is a general sort of suggestion, but one specific suggestion I'll give you is just tuning into your breath throughout the day. It can be any time, just noticing if you're breathing deeply or not, if you're actually consciously breathing. We often are not. So it's a great time, especially if you're at the workplace and you're able to go take a bathroom break, notice, oh man, I've been holding my breath because I'm doing something really stressful right now, or I had an awful call with my boss, or who knows what it might be. Go ahead, head to the bathroom, and just take a minute to take deep inhales and exhales about 10 times, really focusing on those exhales. And it's a little mini break for your whole system. Breath sends the message to the body to relax, to calm down. Notice if you're hunching up your shoulders, relax the whole body as you're taking these conscious breaths. Another great time to practice this breath awareness is if you're in the car in traffic and you're getting frustrated, come back to your breath. If you're waiting in line at the grocery store or at the bank, come back to your breath. And then finally, maybe you're pulling into the driveway and you know there's madness waiting for you at your house. Just take 5 minutes for yourself. Turn the lights off in your car, turn off the ignition, and just stay in your car before you get out and just be with your breath for, again, even if it's just 5 minutes, maybe it has to be 2 minutes because the kids are looking through the window at you and at the driveway. Just taking that time is so huge. Breath is enormously important in dissolving stress. Chronic stress in particular. So breathe, sleep, drink lots of water. I'm going to write a longer blog post with even more tips, including tips on elderberry syrup making and fire cider making and all these other herbal allies for immune system support, how you can make your own, and just good brands that you can buy if you're not into making your own medicine. Thanks for tuning in. Happy shifting into Vata and fall season. Be good to yourself. I'll talk to you soon.